first time I filmed it, and I was done, my camera decided to fuck up. So, and then Hello everyone, I am Kristina. I like to talk about pop culture and share my thoughts here because I think a lot of thoughts about pop culture, and my family and friends are tired of hearing me rant about it. So here we are. This music is about music trends that I think we're going to see in 2021 and the 2020s and beyond. So what I want you to do, I want you to like, I want you to subscribe to the channel. I want you to comment after you're done watching the video which ones you think are batshit insane, or which ones you think are going to happen, or your own predictions for 2020. I would love to talk about it with you. And then after that, what you're going to do is you're going to click on the description, and you're going to follow me on Twitter, and you're going to follow me on Instagram, and follow me on TikTok. I don't really post on Instagram or TikTok, but I might eventually. I'm coming up with ideas. I'm just kind of focusing on this right now for January, so we'll figure it out. But follow me anywhere. Come along for the journey. It'll be fun. 2 disclaimers before I actually talk and discuss about this. One is that these are all just speculation. I'm not an industry plan. I don't actually know what's going to happen. I also plan on revisiting these in December, but I could be totally wrong about all of this. Who knows what's going to happen? Second is that this is a music industry, right? So I'm going to use industry terms, particularly around charts, markets, consumerist terms and stuff. This does not mean that I'm passing any artistic judgment on any of the songs or artists that I mention here as art, because I'm talking about industry and industry trends, right? That's why I'm using certain terms and using certain language here. I would like to make a video once I get better equipment and better just at this in general. I would like to make a video on music consumerism versus appreciating music as art in the future. So also let me know your thoughts on that, I guess, in the comments if you want. Okay, I have 4 categories of predictions I'm going to make. 1 is about charts, 2 are genre specific, 3 are industry predictions that don't really have to do with charts but aren't genre specific either, and 4 are the self-indulgent ones, which are just things that I want to happen. So let's get started. For my charting predictions, overall, I think for the entire industry, any genre, I think we are going to see the rise of artists releasing their main single and album on the same day without a promotional single ahead of time. This is because of specifically, and in this order, Folklore and Cardigan, I almost said Evermore for Folklore and Cardigan, B and Life Goes On, and then Evermore and Willow. So Taylor Swift and BTS are the first artists to debut both an album and single at number 1 at the same time in history of the Billboard charts. With the elimination of bundles and the increase in artists' fandom and stan culture, I think that this is one of those natural things that more artists are going to move to do as they see that it's successful for other ones. I am going to note this is how the typical K-pop release schedule kind of goes, where they release their album and single on the same day, but instead ahead of time they release track lists and teasers and concept photos beforehand. There are some exceptions that I won't mention here because K-pop is also a changing industry. There is an argument to saying that Taylor Swift maybe followed that trend to pull off Folklore and Evermore, but I don't know what her internal label negotiations were like. And also, I do have K-pop predictions later in the video, so keep watching if you want to see what my K-pop predictions are. So as far as artists that I think could release an album and single at the same time and probably get them to both number 1, I think Ariana Grande is one of them, and I'm surprised that she didn't do that with Positions, especially because it came out post-Folklore, and I think she could have been added to this list had she released Positions and Positions at the same time. I think Drake can do it. I think Beyonce can do it. I think Adele can do it. I think Beyonce is going to do it with a complete surprise. I think every other artist I mentioned, they have to mention it at least a week beforehand or a couple days beforehand in order to pull it off. But I think Beyonce is the only one that can pull off the surprise album single without any flags beforehand and still be able to get it to top 200 and Hot 100 at the same time. Okay, artists that I don't think can do it. Bieber. I don't think Bieber can do it. I think he might try. I think for this album cycle, I mean, he's already releasing the promo single, so this album cycle, he definitely won't. But next album cycle, he might try, and I don't think it's going to end up working for him because I just don't think his fandom is big enough anymore, and I don't think he has enough, general population goodwill to pull it off. Unlike Ariana, where I think she has both, right? To talk about Scooter artists, I think she has both general population goodwill that will tune in and stream an album at least once or twice and keep the songs that they really liked, and I think she has a big enough fandom to be able to buy and push to get that number 1. Other artists, I think Doja Cat is too new still. I think she might be able to pull it off in a year or so. I don't think with Planet Her she'll be able to do it. I am going to talk about Doja. I have a whole section on just Doja later in this video. Planet Her, I think, will be a number 1 album. I think it'll also have a number 1 single. I don't think they'll go number 1 at the same time, or debut at number 1, if that's what we're saying. Demi Lovato, Halsey, Selena Gomez, I don't think they're big enough to pull it off. Billie Eilish, I think, is right on the edge. If she releases a really good song and has a good radio push and on kind of a weak week, I think she could debut number 1 album, number 1 song. She's 50-50. She's right there. And the other thing too, I think Rihanna could debut a song and album at number 1 at the same time, but I just don't think she's going to. She could do it. I just think that she won't. All right, my other chart predictions. I think we're going to have more foreign language number 1s other than just BTS, but I'm talking specifically about Bad Bunny and Maluma. I'm not talking about anyone else. Don't come here and say, no, I'm talking specifically about Bad Bunny and Maluma. Both are positioned well, I think, to have really good years this year and beyond. They could get number 1s on the Hot 100. As far as getting a number 1 on the Hot 100, radio plays a big part of that, and there's an argument that it shouldn't, but it's, as of right now, the reality is that that radio plays a huge part. US radio listener base, I think, is definitely way more opening their ears up to listening to foreign language songs, which is a great thing and fantastic. However, I think that the radio industry and radio as an institution is not open to that. It has a lot of problems, and so that will require a lot of work. I also think, charting wise, I think we're also going to see more global, international based genres become bigger in the US. I'm thinking specifically about Afrobeats, I'm thinking specifically about C-pop and J-pop, and I'm thinking specifically about Bollywood and some Bollywood songs becoming bigger. Bollywood is going to be kind of like hybrid movie and movie soundtrack kind of hit situation, or could become big in the 2020s depending on what happens. And that's just with how social media and fandoms work. What'll happen is that a genre or an artist will grow, or a movie will grow a social media fandom, and it'll get bigger and bigger, and then suddenly there's a niche that's willing to spend enough money for it to become viable in the United States. And then these artists can come and tour here and participate and then start to build their US fan base from there. That's just how it's going to happen in the future. We have the model for this. We know how this works. And in that vein, since we're going to have more genres from different parts of the world become bigger here, I also think that in the 2020s, we're going to have more combined language singles become bigger with more than just 2 languages, right? In 2020, we did have Savage Love go number 1, and that was Jason Derulo, Josh, and BTS. The BTS remix is specifically the one that pushed it to the top, and that was in English and Korean. But when I say combined language songs, I'm thinking more of like a Chicken Noodle Soup, which is by J-Hope and Becky G, where that song has 3 languages in that. That song has Korean, that song has Spanish, that song has English. Using more than 1 language, using more than 2 languages in the song, I think is going to be really fun, because we are going to have the best potential to have some crazy metaphors and crazy lyrics, and combining the best parts of all these languages to create like songs, and I'm really excited. Okay, so now for some genre-specific predictions, specific to each genre. So I'm going to start with pop music. So for pop music, and maybe popular music overall, anything that gets popular, but specifically pop music, I think we're going to see the rise of the sister album. So I'm going to define sister albums right here, right now in this video. Just, my word is law. I am the law. Sister albums are albums that deal with the same subject matter and are released within 12 months with each other. I think we're going to see a rise of this type of album, specifically because of the success of Folklore and Evermore, but we also saw this kind of start trending in the late 2010s too, right? I'm thinking specifically of BTS. Again, this video is very much just, what did Taylor Swift and BTS do? Everyone else is going to follow. BTS releases album series, right? They released the Love Yourself series and then the Map of the Soul series. Both of those propelled their careers to new heights in new ways and helped extend kind of the album cycle longer than like 6 months, which is the typical album cycle for a K-pop release. And if 2020 wasn't 2020, with the Map of the Soul series, that would have lasted 2 years for them. We would have had Persona in 19 and 7 in 2020, and it would have lasted 2 years, and we wouldn't have had B. The Love Yourself series was like a year and a half, but again, like there were 3 albums there, that helped extend and last them through a tour and helped them take this same concept and this same idea and use it beyond just one comeback. Another example, Ariana Grande with Sweetener and Thank You Next. Again, not necessarily labeled as sister albums, but they were released so close together. They involve some of the main characters, and they work as kind of like this light darkness situation, right? Sweetener is the daytime to Thank You Next nighttime. And so in presentation and practice, they work like sister albums. Sweetener and Thank You Next is something I want to make a video on, specifically on the narrative between those two albums and how they go back and forth with each other and what actually ended up being presented to us with Thank You Next coming out so quickly after Sweetener. So look out for that video sometime in the future. And I think overall with the streaming era, I think pop artists seem to be struggling a bit because either you need a big established fandom, you need your label to put a lot of money behind you, or you need a viral hit to make it really worth it. And so what you see in response is you see these pop artists releasing 20 plus song albums that are really long and you don't want to listen to and aren't coherent in themselves because they're 20 songs. And it's kind of ruining the album as an art form, right? So I think instead of dropping one long album, I think if artists took a step back and said, you know what, I'm releasing 20 songs anyways, why not release 10 songs now and then wait 8 months and release another 10? I think it'll preserve the album as an art form within itself, and I think it'll also help extend some of these album cycles past a year in the West, because right now in the West you can really only get a year out of an album. For hip-hop and rap, I have been waiting for this day since 2010. I have been waiting for it, but we are here. We have reached the promised land. We are in the age of the rap girl, and I am alive. 2020 was filled with so many good releases by women in rap that I can't even name them all. Highlights for me: Megan, Flo Milli, Chica, Rico Nasty, City Girls, and that's not even all of them. There's just so much good music from just these women rappers that I just love so much. I just love it so much, and it's just time. And as I was writing this script, that Sweetie, I should figure out how to pronounce her name. Best Friends by Sweetie and Doja Cat came out. And I was like, well, this is just another banger. Okay, casual, just drop another banger while I'm writing about how rap girls are going to dominate the rap industry going forward. Okay, great. Prove my point for me. Make this easy for me, guys. I have a whole section on Doja Cat later in this video. I think I've already said that, but there's a section on Doja later in this video, which is why I'm not really talking a lot about her here, because I talk a lot about her later. I promise, stay tuned. And so I think my rap prediction is that our in the 20s are our mega hits. Think our WAPs, think our Savage remixes, think our Best Friends. We're manifesting. Think our Best Friends. Those are all going to be really women-led. I think we're going to see more women features on pop songs. I think it's just going to be all women in rap. They're just going to be out. I mean, obviously, Drake and Future and Migos, those are, they're still going to be, out here. I think we're still going to see the rise of, emo rap, even with the passing of Juice WRLD, tragically. That still upsets me to this day. I think that's still going to happen, but I think overall, I think our rap girls are ready to take over and take charge, and I love it. I love them. So for alternative music or rock music, whatever you want to call it, whatever you feel like calling it today, because I know the people that like this music get really picky about the genre calling. I know I was like that at one point. I also think we're entering a new age of grungy, women-led rock groups. This is specifically because of 2 albums, right? Baba Doobie and Fake It Flowers, and then Pale Waves' new album, which is coming out in February, I think. So Baba Doobie is the girl that did the Coffee for Your Head hook, which is not very hardcore. And so when she released an album and I listened to it, imagine my surprise when it was this edgy, grungy, rough, sometimes angry, angsty album. I loved it. I was like, I'm here for this. I sent it to my friend and I was like, you gotta listen to this. And she was like, oh my god. And I was like, no, right? I listen to that album all the time. I listen to Fake It Flowers all the time. And then Pale Waves, who's on Dirty Hit, produced by Matt Healy, they also are, these are both also UK artists. Maybe this is only coming from the UK. Hopefully some of our US alternative women get in on it. Pale Waves also they're releasing albums. They're releasing an album that has this same kind of vibe, right? It's very 2003 Albert Labrine. It's very Liz Phair. It's very Alanis Morissette. And I love it. I love it because when I was a teenager, we didn't have this. And I'm so glad it's happening now so that girls who need something edgy also have this. And then I also have Billie Eilish. Genre, I think we're going to see a lot of our pop girls jump in on this. I think for grungy albums, we have 3 contenders, right? Because Taylor Swift already took indie, right? So I mean, I guess you could release an album, other pop girls could release an indie album, but like, that'll be a mess on Twitter, because everyone's going to be like, they're just copying folklore, even if you're not. But for a grungier album, I think we have 3 contenders, right? I think we have Halsey, I think we have Billie Eilish, I think we have Lorde. I think those are the 3 pop girls that could really come out and put out a nice grungy album. However, Halsey, I think, has an opportunity to not do grunge, but instead do a real, true pop punk album. Kind of like MGK just did, but better. I think she's a true chance here, and I think she's the only one out here that could do it, and I want her to. Halsey, hear my call. Please release a pop punk emo album. Sometime in the 20s. It doesn't have to be 2021, but sometimes in the 2020s. I want like a From Under the Cork Tree. I want a Fever You Can't Sweat Out. I want a Black Parade. I want a Riot. I want something like that. Call up Adam Lazzara. Have him produce it. For those who don't know, Adam Lazzara is the lead singer of Taking Back Sunday. Taking Back Sunday, New Jersey emo band. Halsey grew up in Jersey. I grew up in Jersey. Write itself. It would be so easy. She's the only one that could do it. Okay. And now for my K-pop predictions, which are, I have one normal one and one that's absolutely unhinged. I have one crazy one. For my normal K-pop prediction, I just think K-pop is going to move its typical release time from 6 p.m. Korean Standard on a Monday to 2 p.m. Korean Standard on a Friday. That's because 2 p.m. Korean Standard on a Friday is Midnight Friday Eastern Standard, which is when the Billboard charts reset. The reason I think they're doing that is because of the success of BTS releasing at midnight our time, and their charting success. And also, the United States has the biggest music industry on the planet. The US has the biggest music industry on the planet because the United States consumers spend the most money on music entertainment products. These are buying on iTunes, these are concert tickets, this is merch, this is speakers, anything. We spend the most money on music entertainment products out of any other country. It's okay for industries to want to have a cut of the market when it's so big. And again, if Western artists move towards releasing that album single at the same time, I think that will also just overall benefit K-pop artists who already do that. And now for my unhinged K-pop conspiracy. Okay, ready? I think Twice is going to release a song produced by BTS Suga sometime in 2021. This is why. Here is my evidence. 1. TXT, which is under Big Hit Entertainment, which is the same entertainment management company as BTS, performed a cover of a JYP song. Stray Kids, who is under JYP Entertainment, who is also Twice's management company, performed a cover of a BTS song, right? So that to me indicates that there is some communication between these management companies to allow these covers to happen, and that there is some sort of goodwill in order to let this happen. If there wasn't, then these covers would not have happened, right? I also think in Suga's recent Reverse interview, he mentioned that he was speaking to other artists, not just his seniors, but also his contemporaries. That could include Twice members and Twice's production team. On the other side too, right? Twice has been releasing songs at 2 p.m. Korean Standard on Friday, which is again a Western release schedule. So to me, they released Cry For Me at that time, and they released an English version of Can't Stop Me. So to me, that indicates that they're making a play for the English. They're making a play for the U.S. and trying to get their market share up there, which is fine. They should be able to do that. I also think. So the other thing too, Cry For Me, which we spoke a little bit about, was also produced by Hayes, who has a producer Suga song We Don't Talk Together. So they're working with people that worked with him. There are connections happening, connecting the dots. The other thing too, again, Suga's Weverse interview, he mentioned that he really wanted to move into the US market. So also, which means to him, like, continuing to feature and produce for US artists. He did for Halsey, he did for Max. Twice wants to get more into the US market. Suga wants to become more established as his own producer, right? As a producer, artist, as himself, beyond just BTS, right? There's a mutually beneficial thing that can happen here with a song like that, right? Twice can be exposed to ARMYs and BTS's massive fan base, if they're not already, because I do think there's a lot of overlap between Onces and ARMYs. Not like a ton, but there's enough there to where I think that there's enough of a core seed that it wouldn't be stupid to do so. And then I think with Suga, like, he can just produce a song for Twice and then suddenly be like, I can get whoever I want to number 13 on the Hot 100 and use that to also further himself in the US market as his own artist, producer. So that's my unhinged K-pop theory. Hope you enjoyed it. It could also be ITZY. Here's the thing. It's not going to be, he doesn't produce for men, right? It could also be ITZY. But I feel like if you look at Wine, if you look at 8, if you look at We Don't Talk Together, all of that is way, way more Twice than it is ITZY. I mean, there could be like a Project or trap banger that ITZY puts out, but I really think, because ITZY also, like, they're releasing the English album. Okay. And lastly, some industry stuff. Okay. So I think the continued blending of genres is going to cause issues for areas of the industry that insist on pinning music into genre boxes, okay? This is where I talk about Doja Cat. Doja is this wonderful mix of both a pop girl and a rap girl, because she can do both, and she does both beautifully, and she does both wonderfully, and she is both. I'm thinking specifically songs like Say So and Like That, those are pop songs, but songs like Rules and Boss Bitch, those are rap songs. And so for someone like her who doesn't fit into one box, first of all, I love it. I love artists like that, and I'm going to go through 2 more artists that are like that. And I think that she poses a challenge to the industry, because what does she function more as? This is the reason why I didn't really speak about her in my rap girl section or in my pop section, because I didn't want to put her into one box. She's both. And I love that about her, and I want her to have the space to be both. And so that's why she's here. And I think that's really important. I think we need to let artists be more than one thing. I think we need to let artists be more than just, this is a pop girl, this is a rap girl, this is a K-pop group. Like, we need to, like, let them spread their wings and expand and make the music they want without really forcing labels on them. Labels are for politicians that are fascist, guys, right? Not for music. Okay. And then another artist, Lil Nas X, right? I really enjoyed his post Old Town Road. I didn't really like Old Town Road that much, but his stuff after Old Town Road, I really like that stuff. I think it's really cute. I think it's really fun. But he's another one. Like, his EP had tons of genres on it, and like, I wouldn't know, like, I wouldn't necessarily label that hip hop, because he has pop punk, he has rock songs on there too. So, like, he's another one that we shouldn't force into a box, and we should just let be and let him make the art that he wants. And then my last one, of course, because I'm me, I do have to bring up BTS. BTS make lots of music, and they have one song in basically every genre you can think of. The only reason we call them K-pop is because they make popular music in Korean. And they enjoy, and they label themselves K-pop, so that's not the only reason. But, like, that's why we call them K-pop, because of the language. But, like, take the language out of it. Name me another band that can do emo, neo-soul, EDM, and have a good Chainsmokers song and a good good Ed Sheeran song. You can't, because there's no one else that can do that. A good Chainsmokers song. I know you're sitting there and you're like, there's no such thing. Go listen to Best of Me by BTS. There is such a best thing that was produced by the Chainsmokers, and that song is better than anything I've heard the Chainsmokers do. It is possible. It is possible. Artists continuing to defy genres is going to cause problems for institutions. It's going to cause problems for institutions that want to force artists into this genre box. And speaking of institutions that have problems, I think the 2021 Grammys are going to be the messiest award show behind the VMAs this year. This is why. A, it's already postponed. B, they've ruined their relationship with The Weeknd because they wanted him to choose between them and the Super Bowl, and he wouldn't because the Super Bowl is a better deal for an artist. And so they've ruined it because now it's postponed. So now there's no conflict of interest between two weekends back to back because of anything. I don't even know. Like, was it enough? I don't know. So they ruined their relationship with him, right? And the other thing too, like, they're bleeding credibility year after year like it's going out of fashion. And for the people that run the Grammys, credibility is going out of fashion, right? And our biggest artists, like, don't care anymore. Like, if Beyonce doesn't care about your institution, like, I really don't find a reason I should care about it either. And so I think they have a lot of internal problems to fix. Here are two problems I think they have that they need to fix. One is they need to get rid of those committees. So for some of the awards, I don't know which ones off the top of my head, but for some of the awards, there is a committee that sits down and talks about which ones to nominate after the first round of voting is over. So the committee gets the top 20 most voted, and from that, they pick the nominations, which means that the top voted ones might not always get into a Grammy nomination. So that means that even if your album is the number one, let's say for like Song of the Year, even if your song is the most voted by the Grammy voting base for Song of the Year, the committee might decide not to nominate that song. They have to get rid of the committee, or there's no reason to have the committees at all. Just nominate the top 8 most voted in every category. It's not difficult. Just go through a round of voting, tally up all the votes, nominate the top 8 in each category, go into your second round. There's no need for a committee. Because the committee, I think that's how you get Grammy favorites. Like, the people in the committees, even if it's different every year, like, they're the ones that are like, oh, like, they always end up favoring people, right? The other thing I think we need to do, I think we need to eliminate business people from the Grammy voting base. So these are our record execs. These are our music managers. These are our A&R people. Anyone who is not a creator involved with the creative process, right? So I think the Grammy voting base should really only be songwriters, artists, recording artists, engineers, producers, people that are involved with the actual process of making and performing music, and not the people that are involved in funding the music, right? Because here's the thing, the people involved with funding the music know what the sales numbers are. And so they are going to pick time and time again the ones that they think made them the most money year after year after year. And as we know, when you're looking at someone and you're looking at an artist and you think, wow, which artist do I think can make the most money? There's a bias there that tends to pick certain artists over other artists. I don't need to explain this because we all know this. So I think we really need to eliminate the committees. I think we really need to eliminate business people and purge them from the Grammy voter rolls. And I think that will help lend more credibility, because then it really will be peers, a jury of your peers voting, right? Because here's the thing, right? The CEO of Republic Records is not peers with BTS. Scooter Braun is not peers with Taylor Swift. So I I really think like it's going to just be messier every year as it gets worse and worse. And I think that they really have a problem that they need to fix. And I think those are two solutions that they should do. The business people are going to hate that, but like the Grammys are supposed to be about art, right? This is a jury of my peers, of other artists, but it's not, because there's industry people in there. So get rid of the industry people, keep only the people involved in making the art, and cut the committees. The end. Before I end the video, self-indulgent things I want to happen. I think Taylor Swift's going to release all of her remasters this year, but not submit them for a Grammy, because I also think Beyonce and Adele are releasing this year. I think BTS are going to do 2 to 3 comebacks, maybe another album series, June, August, December. Those are my guesses for that. I think Justin Timberlake is going to release an album, but Twitter has turned on him, so it's going to be very interesting what happens. And I really want a pop punk revival on the radio, but I want it to be woman-led. Kind of like the grunge I was talking about before, but ladies only. Because we've evolved past the need for men in pop punk. Okay? So those are my predictions. Again, please comment below. Tell me which ones you think are crazy and which ones you think are going to happen. Socials in the description. Give it a like. Subscribe if you liked it. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next week.